Whew! That was what I needed to try and get awake. Hello! Kind of figured out my lighting too. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Well, I guess we'll wait for some more people, but for the people who have joined, welcome to Bachelor of Charts, episode 5. Already, I've done this 4 times already. Whew! Can't believe you guys are still watching. This is too much. I love it. Today we're going to have a really cool guest, Miss Molly Mattern. I've known her for a very long time, and I can't wait to have her on to read. I am going to be honest with you guys. I left my chart at work. So I usually have this like really cool drawn out with staple and everything. I do is at work. I left it. So today, when Molly joins, we're going to be getting into it in this little binder thing that I was writing in. And I might be referencing a lot of my notes from her birth chart that I've got pulled up on this computer. So I'm just going to, with staple. Yes, with staple. Hello. How's downstairs? I am trying to get Miss Molly to join. Ooh, lost me for a second. There she is. Hello. Let me add her on. Waiting.
Hello.
Oh, good. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry it took me a minute. I was getting a drink. So.
Yeah, whatever you need, Miss Teacher of the Year. How's school?
Teacher of the Year. Oh my goodness. I deserve a whole bottle after this week of virtual teaching, let me tell you.
Woo!
So, cheers to the weekend is all I have
Cheers.
to say.
Hopefully today could be a nice therapy session for you.
Oh, I would love that.
So, I don't know if you caught the beginning of that, but honestly, I did leave your chart at work.
Oh, I heard, yeah.
So I've got your chart notes in this little notebook, but they're not as pretty as they normally would be. But it doesn't matter because I don't give those out anyway. I just don't have a pretty version. So
that's okay.
Do you want to go ahead and just jump on in and get started, yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's go. Okay, so let's start with your, by the way, your chart was very you. I told you that earlier in the week. And so I'm really excited to see how you feel about it. But let's start with your sun sign. Are you aware of what your sun sign is?
Aquarius.
Yeah. You know, I thought you were Pisces for the longest time.
I know every time that we've ever brought this up, you say that, and I always have to correct you. But I think I have very Pisces tendencies.
Yeah. You also just look like a Pisces.
Oh.
Like every Pisces I know, like
is beautiful and gorgeous.
I mean, yeah, kind of. They just look like you. I don't know. All right, well, let's go into your Aquariusness.
Okay.
So your sun sign is how you are self-expressive and how you express yourself to the world, how you're seen to the world. Aquarius is all about community, personal hopes, and dreams. And yours is in the 12th house, which is all about rebirth, karma, and emotion. So the sun in the 12th house is kind of a weird place for it to be because the 12th house is kind of all about dreams and mystery and like being hidden. And the sun wants to be like bright and like showy and like, here I am. So when the sun is in the 12th house, there's this sort of disconnect sometimes.
Right.
Where it's like, this is who I am, but you might hide it a little bit. So let me read kind of all my notes and see what you think.
Okay.
So dreamy and kind may hide the true self or intentions if it may hurt others or doesn't contribute to the group. Possesses, I like this, possesses a gift of healing that they want to share with others, which I want to talk about with you.
Yeah, you know what? That makes me think of a lot of late night conversations that we've had.
How many times have you told me, yeah, I barely knew the person, yet they started talking to me and we had like a 30-minute conversation about their life?
Yeah, they just tell me everything.
That's you. You have this gift of healing. And the last line I have is idealistic and prone to focus on the meanings of things rather than the details. What are your thoughts?
I agree with every word that just came out of your mouth. I mean, I really think that that's like me to a T. I'm really I don't know. Like I care a lot. I'm kind. I liked how you
Yeah.
emphasized the word kind. Um, and but I also am very like I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and like sometimes even if I know that like that's not me, like I don't want to, ruffle anyone's feathers.
Yes, very that. And that's kind of that's what I mean by the sun being in the 12th house. It's kind of like I want to be who I am, but I'm kind of hidden by like mystery and I don't really want to hurt anyone's feelings, but also like I know I have a change that I could bring to the world kind of thing. So I
Right.
really like that for you.
I do too.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to your moon. So, as your sun is sort of the expressive version of you, the
Mhm.
moon is your reaction and your reception. So, I always say this every time that the sun creates its own light, but the moon has to take the sun's light in order to shine. So,
Right.
think of this sort of as who you are at home when you're comfortable, sort of how you react to the world.
Uh-huh.
It is in Libra, and Libra is all about harmony, charm, and cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the seventh house, which is the relationship house. It's about cooperation and relationship. So, kind of combining all those things together, this person thrives in relationships. They desire to do everything with another person, no matter how menial or mundane. So the example was like they're going to be the person who asks somebody, "Hey, do you want to go to the gas station with me?" Or, "Hey, like, do you want to take a nap with me later?" Like
Yeah.
you enjoy doing just the basic things with people.
Yeah.
Codependent and need to feel a sense of belonging. This one, she got you on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Will marry young.
Well, been there, done that.
Right? Romantic and sensitive and easygoing and charming.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Maggie's already got some words.
Maggie already is letting us know. I agree with
She's
all of
like,
it.
yeah.
The only thing is that sometimes I'm like the opposite of like, oh, let's go get gas together. Like sometimes I'm like, leave me the hell alone. Like I just want
Right.
to be by myself. So I think that like that's correct. Like I am that type of person that will be like, hey, want to go grocery shopping with me, or like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But I also
She said,
think that
excuse that bee. Miss Maggie, she
Layla,
wanted to show up. She said,
Layla,
yes, that is
Layla,
her.
wrangle your animal.
She's not an animal. She's family.
So yeah, I think that like that's me to a T, except there are times that I'm just like, oh my God, like get away from me.
Right. Well, I think that's interesting too, because we're about to talk about your rising sign, and I
Mhm.
want to keep that part in mind. But I did love, I mean, got you. Will marry young. Hello.
Mhm.
I thought that was so funny. It wasn't even like, oh, they might marry young. It was like, they will marry young,
They 100% will, yeah.
which was interesting. Um, yeah. Romantic and sensitive and easygoing. I love that. It's because of that Libra. Libras are very charming people, so it's very easy to talk to you. And I get that. Again, it's that sense of like, I didn't know the person at all yet. They told me their whole life kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're easy to talk to. I
No,
love that.
I agree with that part for sure.
Love it. All right, moving on to your rising sign. Now, your rising sign is how you move through life. It's sort of it's your first house, which is all about like personal identity.
Mhm.
So this is sort of who you are when you go through life and how you'll experience life. This is in Pisces, which is all about emotion and rebirth. So these are dreamers with an optimistic and idealistic view of the future,
Mhm.
open-minded and easily changes their ideas or beliefs over time. They're sensitive to bad energy, and there's a note here that says need to be alone in order to recharge.
Oh, so that's like it kind of goes back to what I said earlier.
Right. So while you may be like,
All that, like if I
even,
get negative vibes from a person, I can pick up on that so fast, and then I'm just like, okay, bye. Like,
yeah, and what was interesting too is that it said it was sensitive. So it's not only like you don't like it, it's that you may like feel bad about like it may like cloud your thoughts or you might just feel weird.
yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I took like this personality test. You know the like the INJ whatever
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, well I took that the other day, and I was doing research, and it's like the rarest one, Kevin.
Oh.
And it's like where we can actually like absorb other people's emotions. So like if somebody's being like negative and like all that
You feel
kind of
that.
nonsense, like I absorb that, and which I think is so true. Like I start feeling it and start feeling like bad. But if I'm around people that are like funny and happy, then I'm like, oh, come on, like, and then I also feel that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
So
that's very empath. Very that. You could walk into a room and if it's bad energy, you will start to feel bad.
yeah,
Yeah, and that kind of goes with the like your sun sign being in the 12th house, this Pisces, this sort of like dreamy state that you live in it lends itself to being very sensitive to emotions, being sensitive to like outside influences. So the fact that you say that you are an empath, I think that is very telling. And the whole like needs to be alone to recharge. Do you feel like that's what you're doing when you're alone? Like, do you feel like you need the moment to like rebuild
yeah.
yourself?
Well, and I think that like there's some people that really just want to be around people all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm just the type of person that I like. I just need to sit at home sometimes.
There could
When
be
it lives.
99 people. No, there could be 100 people in a room, but 99. I love it. Come on, Miss Gaga.
But yeah,
Love
I
it.
agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah. And that's your rising sign. So that's going to happen in all, especially like new situations, which I think is interesting what you were just talking about being able to feel the energy from someone else. So you'll kind of sense the energy in new situations wherever you go. So keep that in mind.
Hmm. I
Awesome.
will.
So at least on my end, I don't know if you there you are. You're back. Hello,
Yeah,
your
you were
video.
frozen too, but I wasn't, so I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know which ones, I don't know. All right, so let's move on to your chart ruler.
Okay.
So your chart ruler basically is your overall theme of your life. So you'll kind of see this poking in throughout your life, this
Hmm.
kind of theme. So
Okay.
your chart ruler is basically what planet is rules over your rising sign. So the planet that rules over Pisces is Neptune. So
Right.
your chart ruler is Neptune, which is all about dreams and mystery.
Okay.
And that is in Capricorn, which is all about maturity and work ethic,
Hmm.
in the 10th house, which is all about legacy and status. So this is
Oh.
very interesting. Let me read this to you.
Okay.
Responsible and dedicated to achieving a positive goal,
Hmm.
may dismiss up, we just said this earlier and we didn't even think about this, may dismiss others if they don't contribute to their life plan, which I actually talked about this with Shay last week, that it's very like, if you are negative or if you don't contribute to my joy, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Very that.
Yeah.
Independent so as not to have to work under someone else. You prefer to like
Mm.
work under your own rules, basically.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with all of it. Like everything you said is me. Like I think that I would love to not have a boss and
Yeah.
would, love to do my own thing. And I hate negative energy and just kind of like anything that makes me feel like slightly negative. I like instant anxiety.
Right. And we have to think about this too. Again, this is the theme that's going to kind of come throughout your life is that it's Neptune, which is dreams and mystery, but this is the 10th house, which is all about your legacy. So it's not even just negativity in general, it's stuff that doesn't contribute to your positive life.
Hmm.
I think will kind of come at you a lot.
Yeah.
You need to filter through that.
Okay. I like that.
Love that. All right, let's move on. We're just plowing right through it. I'm interested. So now we're going to talk. So that's your sort of the big four: your sun, your moon, your rising, and your chart ruler.
Right.
That's kind of who your personality.
Hmm.
But now we have your inner planets.
Hmm.
So when you think of I still don't know what it's called. I probably should have looked it up. But like what asteroids are, the rocks in the solar system. You know those people. So all the planets inside of that, closest to the sun, those are your inner planets. So your Mercury, Venus, and Mars.
Uh-huh.
So those are kind of who you are in relation to everyone else. So from an inside outward perspective, how you act with others, who you are in life. So not necessarily your personality, but how you sort of act.
Right.
So Mercury is all about communication and decision making. So choices is in Pisces, another water sign, which is about rebirth, karma, and emotion. And this time it's in the 11th house. So the 11th house is about community, personal hopes, and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So this person is very artistic
Oh.
and gentle
Oh.
and very curious and has a very curious mind. Can be seen as fascinating to other people. Enjoys learning about the meaning of life and the world. Very creative and lives in the hypothetical. So you're the kind of person that's gonna be like, what would happen if, like, can you imagine if, or
Hmm.
like, let's pretend, likes to
What
play
if?
pretend.
What if?
Yeah, very what if. What are
Hmm.
your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's me to a T. Like I just like I question everything. I'm very curious. I love learning. Like I've always told
Oh,
like if I could be a professional student, like that's what I would do. Like I would go to school and just like that's all I would do for the rest of my life. Like and maybe that's why I became a teacher, but I don't know, like I definitely think that all that is true. Like um I don't know, like yeah.
yeah. The amount of times the word learning came up while reading about Mercury in this location, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, that's definitely, I love learning, even if it's just like random stuff that doesn't matter. Like, I like finding out new stuff.
Especially stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because this is sort of Pisces and the 11th house, which is all about like sort of, again, more mysterious stuff. So you're probably more interested in creative, original things than you are in learning like math or
Oh, yeah.
like truck, like building or something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I love that one. Very interesting.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so let's move on to your Venus. I can't wait to talk to you about your Venus on
Mm,
your fire.
that
Your
sounds
desire.
scandalous, Kevin.
So up until this moment, you've kind of been very, I'm going to call it like top left of the chart, which is
Hmm.
all the sort of mysterious houses, sort of dreams, emotion, sensitivity.
Uh-huh.
Your Venus jumped right to the bottom left, which in
Oh.
your case is sort of where your first house is, and it's all about ego and sort of who,
Oh.
like your personal identity.
Hmm.
And it's in Aries, which is sort of the spark, like the fiery one, the like I always look at Aries as like toddlers. They're fun and exciting, but like they
Is
might be
that
a
like
little
where,
bit.
is that like me being sassy comes from?
Okay, well, let me read it. So Venus is
Okay.
all about love and desire. So not necessarily like sexually all the time, but also just like what you want to make yourself feel good and comfortable.
Hmm.
It's in Aries, which is spark, energy, and ego, and it's in your first house, which is personal identity. This person enjoys adventure and excitement, likes to make the first move, but also attracted to bold partners, radiant and passionate in bed, and willing to experiment,
Oh,
can come off as overconfident or sassy at times. Yeah.
oh, look at that. Sassy.
You found the word.
I found the word. I did that like I feel like you have been just watching me. And I think that it
Isn't it
doesn't help.
scary?
It doesn't help that like you've known me for so long. So I'm sure you
Yeah.
were doing
Yes.
Molly, like
That's
so
why I texted you like midweek. I was like,
yeah.
this, like, like when I read these charts and I've known these people for so long, it's like, duh, like it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's kind of scary. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of creepy that like just because I was born like at a certain time during the day in a certain city, like
Yeah.
that these things are true. But yeah, I definitely think all those things are true. That's,
Yeah. And that
I mean,
is very
I think
you.
I'm a little bit of a, I think because people, I'm really short
Yeah.
and, but I'm a little bit sassy. And I think that people, kind of think of me as a firecracker.
Very that.
Yeah.
Because, like, when I think about you, I do think of those sort of one on one times where it's like the late night talks, but
Mhm.
I also think of you in big group settings or even just like different settings, and you are just sort of the spunky, sort of vivacious, spontaneous one. So
Yeah.
it made so much sense when I saw that you personally feel nice and good when you can be adventurous and spontaneous and cool and
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. And I like to think that maybe sarcasm plays a role in that house too.
Oh,
I think a
fully.
lot of people are walking around that house that are sarcastic.
Oh, just so much.
Yeah.
So much sarcasm. Hey, and again, you know what? I want to go back to Mercury in a second, but
Okay.
yeah, I think your Venus was very spot on.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk. One thing I always talk about, we're going to go back to Mercury really quick because I forgot to mention this. I always mention Mercury in retrograde just because it seems to be a popular topic for people.
Yeah.
They're all like, oh, what's that? What's that? So, Mercury in retrograde, basically, physically, what's happening in the sky is Mercury reaches a point where it looks like it starts spinning the other direction to us. So, that's
Hmm.
why we call it Mercury in retrograde. It's not actually spinning the other direction, it's just that's the way it looks.
Hmm.
And so, what that means for us, again, Mercury's all about communication and decision making. So when it's in retrograde, it's just sort of more acute and like very honed in. So it's kind of a place where things might seem more off or more difficult.
Hmm.
So when your Mercury's in retrograde, you may get bored or irritated in serious situations
Hmm.
and may make impulsive choices that are fun or creative but not practical.
Mm.
So I
Okay.
just kind of tied those together just
Yeah.
because it made me think of that. So when Mercury's not currently in retrograde, but when it is, just be aware that you might get really irritated when things are sort of boring or serious, and then you might do something that's like fun or spend your money on something that's cool, and then
Oh.
like
Hmm.
then it didn't serve you in the real world.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, what does that mean? Tell me. Oh, what does that
Well, I
mean?"
definitely do. Like, if I'm like, you know what, I'm bored, so I'm gonna go spend a lot of money. I do that. Like that example, that example rang true. Like, and then I'm like, oh, should have paid my rent. Like, that's kind of like it's a very impulsive thing. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I should like treat myself, but it's just because I'm like bored. Like,
exactly.
that's all it is.
And so, yeah, your Venus and your Mercury kind of tie really well together. I like that.
Yeah,
It's never going to be boring around you. We'll just say that.
well, that's good.
Let's move on to your Mars, your last inner planet. So
Mm.
Mars is all about action and war, or friction.
Oh,
Um, and in your Mars, this was very interesting. I can't wait to talk to you about this. So your Mars is in Cancer, which is all about protection and emotion. Think about the crab with the shell, like protection.
hmm.
And it's in the fourth house, which is all about family and bonds and home.
Hmm.
So let me read this to you.
Okay.
Avoids conflict, very protective over their loved ones, very intensely feels for their family, either positively committed to loving wholeheartedly, or negatively by holding a grudge.
Well, I
What
mean,
are your
you
thoughts? I know, that's
you
why I
know.
wanted to talk to you about it.
You know a lot about my family, and I think that that's true in sort of the grudgy kind of way, or like the maybe more negative kind of way. I don't know if for some of my family members, I don't think it's more of a grudge. I think it's just more of like a negative connotation kind of thing. But I definitely,
Resentment was another word that kind of came up a lot.
yeah, like I definitely think that there's some of that. And then what was the thing you said before that?
Um,
With not be like before the family thing.
Very protective over their loved ones and
Yeah.
avoids conflict.
Yeah, I definitely think I avoid conflict, or if I do have conflict, it's like I try to do it in the most mature way possible to like make it not turn into like a conflict. Like I want it to be like,
Right.
oh, like let's just have a conversation or like
Yes.
and that's sort of how I handle like almost everything. It's just like I don't want this to turn into something that it's not. Um
Yeah. And let's remember that when we move on to your Jupiter, by the way.
yeah, no that's like that's definitely me. But I am very protective. Like if I'm out with even just like friends, like I'm very
Yeah.
protective of my friends. And even though I'm really small, like I feel like I would just like beat the hell out of someone if I needed to, you know? So
Yeah. This is very the sign that's going to go to bat for their friends or their
yeah,
loved ones.
that's definitely me.
Yeah. And also, I always think of cancers. They're like the homemakers. They're the people that want to make other people feel comfortable. So when your
Yeah.
Mars is in Cancer, like that to me is very like the protector. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to start anything, but I will end it if I need to, kind of
Yeah, that's
feel.
exactly me. Yeah.
So.
But and I'm also very much like a hostess. Like I like you said, make people comfortable. Like I'm very much like I want people to feel good.
Yeah, and even like in your house, it's cancers are they tend to be, and it's your Mars, so you sort of make decision and you have action in this direction, which is cancers are very they're good designers or they like to style their house really
Oh,
well.
like this?
Like yeah, so they like to decorate is basically what I'm getting at. So I
Oh,
think that is very you, and they like to have people at home and feel comfortable and warm, and
yeah.
I kind of like that for you.
Yeah, no, I do. I definitely do too.
Love that. Well, let's move on to your outer planets now.
Mhm.
So we've already done your inner planets, which is sort of who you are to the world, like
Okay.
in how I act to the rest of the world. Your outer planets are sort of more. She said, "What the tree?"
Layla,
Let's
get that
pause.
negative. I
Let's
feel
pause. We're kind of
the
moving very
negative
quickly through
attitude.
this. Let's talk about the tree. We have a comment about the tree.
Okay, the tree is not a Christmas tree. It is a celebratory tree. So every holiday I decorate it. Right now it's a birthday tree, but usually it was a 4th of July tree. It's about to be a fall harvest tree.
Oh,
And then it will be back to Christmas tree, and then
what about a Halloween tree?
well, it will have, it's like a fall harvest Halloween theme
Just all in there.
of every holiday. I have Earth Day. This year,
Oh,
I'm doing a Martin Luther King Day tree. I'm just going to put pictures of Martin Luther King all over my tree.
ooh, I love that.
And then, of course, when it's my birthday, I'll be back to birthday decorations for me. And then,
Are there just pictures of you? You can put your birth chart in it next year.
yeah, I'll just do pictures of my face and then my birth chart next to it.
That's the star on
But
top.
also, I wanted this to be in the video today. Look,
Please. Ooh, that picture is in my car. I have that.
yeah, I love that picture of us.
I
And
do
I
too.
okay, I'm gonna be honest, my eyes are popping in that picture. And so that's why it's one of my favorites. But I also just love that picture.
Yeah, it's also really a good representation of sort of what we've been talking about, is that we were like the only two that painted our faces that day because we just wanted to be stupid and fun and creative, and
Exactly. And we just had such a good time.
we sure did.
So,
Love it. All right, well, let's get back at it. That was a good little segue, talking about your little tree. My mom will actually, I think she joined recently. She'll probably love that tree, and she's going to
yeah,
start doing that.
she
Because
bet.
my mom is the person that has like 10 trees at Christmas. So she'll probably just like leave them all up now and then just decorate for each season.
Yeah, that's what I've done, and because I just don't have the storage for it, and it's a 7.5 foot tall tree. I can't
Yeah,
I can't put the star on it every year, and so I just leave it up.
yeah. How tall are you?
5 3/4.
5'3"
Yeah.
inch. Yeah, you can't get to the top of the 7.5 foot tree every time.
No, I do have a step stool now, but that might be helpful. But it's still, it's there. It's already up. I don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. All right, well, let's get moving on. My mother says hello, by the way. I see the little wave
Oh,
down
I hope you steal my tree idea.
there. So let's move on to your Jupiter. So we're going to your outer planets now. So this is sort of a little more worldly. My mom says you have given me ideas, so I hate that.
Good. Good.
She have a whole room dedicated to like holiday trees. So now we're going into sort of a little more mysterious planets, sort of more how you react to the world that's coming in, sort of what you feel about things that aren't you interacting with people, more sort of.
Like current events.
No, it's just a little bit broader. So we'll start with Jupiter and you'll kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So whereas like Mercury was like communication and Venus was like love and Mars is action, Jupiter is about belief and grace and luck. So it's just a little more like abstract ideas. So your Jupiter is in Libra, which is about harmony, charm, and cooperation in the 7th house, which again is cooperate, the love house, the relationship house.
Yeah.
So this person is most at home when in a committed relationship, trusting and elegant. I like that word for you, elegant.
Ooh.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever referred to myself as elegant.
I know, right? When I think elegant, I think like super tall. Like I don't think I'm elegant.
Like tall and lanky is what I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, another word they like to use a lot was beautiful.
Oh.
So
okay, well I have been called that plenty times.
Very easy to talk to, may forget themselves in order to support other people, desire beautiful things, and possess an idealistic view on life. So this person, again, it's all about harmony and charm and cooperation, which we talked about earlier, was that you'd rather like get level ground for everybody and just be like, I don't want this to go any further. So you're kind of like, let's just all have a good time together. And
I'm a peacekeeper.
You love being beautiful. You love being with people. Like you're the kind of person that like, again, the most at home when in a committed relationship, you're that kind of like, I don't want to say stereotype, but that character in the movie that's just like, oh my God, I love them together. She's glowing when she's with them. Or you know what I mean? Like you're that person, like you're the best version.
I definitely agree with the committed relationship thing. Like I feel like I'm definitely more the person that like, I'd rather like, if it's not going to work out, like, move on. Like, I don't want to just be playing around, you know, and play in the field. Like, if I like someone, then I like want to be with them, want to put my energy into that person. And if I don't, then I'm like very quick to be honest and be like, hey, I'm not feeling this, like, bye.
Bye.
But I do think that like that to be in a committed relationship is like where I feel most comfortable.
Yeah. And I love that you said that too, because Jupiter, when I think Jupiter is the ruling planet for Sagittarius. So it's a lot of times in conjunction with sort of travel or like expansion as well, especially because it's the biggest planet. And so they always mention that this is the kind of person that will kind of look anywhere for the right person. So this is the kind of person that if you're not the right person, I don't want to be there. I'm going to look elsewhere. Like there's someone out there for me is kind of who this person is.
Yeah. And I'm definitely that person. I don't necessarily think I believe in like soulmates though. Like I just think that like, because I do think relationships like take a lot of work and effort, but I just think that there's like kind of back to like how we were talking about vibes and like negative and good vibes. Like if I get a bad vibe, then I'm like, you know what, this isn't gonna work out. But I can tell that so quickly that I don't really like waste my time a whole lot.
That's great. I love that. I love that it says desire beautiful things. Do you like beautiful things?
Well, of course, but I'm a teacher, so I can't have them.
Well, wait till we get to your Uranus and then till Uranus, and we might find out some possibilities for you.
Okay. Oh, like career possibilities? A career change?
Yes. Career.
Wow.
So let's move on. Let's talk about your Saturn. You also are, without realizing it, you're doing really good segues with what you're talking to me about.
Oh.
So you kind of, right? You naturally segued into like putting in the work. Saturn is the work planet. It's all about, I call it the task planet, the to-do list planet. And your Saturn is in Aquarius. So it's in it's like right where your sun is too. So it's about community and personal hopes and dreams. And it's in the 12th house, which is rebirth, karma, and emotion. So this person is ingenious. So you're very ingenuitive. You know how to make something out of nothing, and prone to creating their own rules in order to maintain their own freedom while also working towards a goal. So like a march to the beat of your own drum kind of person.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I'll figure it out my way kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mature. They mature young and may suffer setbacks early in life, may carry anxiety from feeling badly for others or how they may affect others, and they're very self-sacrificing. So you're the kind of person that you're going to put others before yourself, like almost all the time, and that might give you a lot of anxiety because you're feeling like, oh my God, should I have put this person, like, am I too
I think
selfish?
about my overthinking. Like I overthink about my thinking. Like,
you know, if you can kind of figure out how to not do that, then I think most of your anxiety, because I didn't really see anxiety most anywhere else in your chart. I think that's kind of where your anxiety is from.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I think, might kind of serve you in the future.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. But I think everything else you said was correct. I mean, like, I am probably way too self-sacrificing. Like, there's been times that I've like, I don't think necessarily it's really happened, but there's been times that I feel like maybe people have like walked, you know, over me or kind of been like, kind of take advantage of my niceness because they know that I'm like going to be, you know, hello.
Miss Liza said, hello, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, beautiful person.
We're on our Saturn already, Miss Liza. Can you believe?
I know you've missed a great episode, the best one yet. So yeah, I think that like I'm very self-sacrificing and I'm just very like, let me, like, I'll even put myself at discomfort if it means that like someone else is going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's, and I don't necessarily know if I get like anxiety from that, but I think I get anxiety like after the fact. Like while I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, it's just natural. Like I just do it without thinking. And then after the fact, I'm like, that person like took advantage of that kindness or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also have to think about it again in terms of what planet we're talking about. So it is Saturn. It's the to-do planet. It's like sort of your work ethic. So that you might be somebody who you do feel like you can give yourself over to others, but the anxiety might also even come from sort of, you might just, what are you doing? Where are you
Oh,
going?
I'm just doing a refill. I'm still here.
Got it. Your anxiety might come from, again, the first part of this was somebody who is ingenious and prone to creating their own rules. So
Mm.
you might be somebody who is like trying to navigate your own life, and then your anxiety will come in and be like, wait, am I being too selfish? Am I not thinking about other people while I'm trying to do this? That might also be a big factor.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that like, sorry, I'm just like I'm bartending right now.
You get two shots and then we shake it.
Oh no, I just dropped an ice
I'll
cube.
hire you and we can do like a birth chart cocktail every week.
Oh, we
Now
should.
we take it over to Molly for the birth chart cocktail.
And I'm just like, hey guys.
Guys, I thought I was going to make it for the sun sign, but we're already in Neptune and I'm drunk.
Let me tell you about Uranus. Um, I'm almost done. Like I'm just pouring a little mixer in.
No, you are fine. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we're done with your Saturn, so really if that,
Sorry,
ooh,
I didn't mean to interrupt
no, you're fine.
the
This is all
flow.
about you.
Oh, okay. Well, I love that. I actually, speaking of alcohol, I had a conversation with someone the other day that we decided that a lot more people would go to therapy if it was like a nail salon where they offered you at least two free drinks.
Oh, like the nail salon that I've been to down the street from me? My God.
Yeah.
If
And
I
but
could
I
do
just think I
therapy
think
there.
more people would be like okay with going to therapy if they knew that like oh, like I'm gonna have a drink. And, you probably wouldn't have to go to as many sessions because it would, get out faster.
Yeah. I also think of like doing chart readings as some kind of form of therapy too. So it's like when people go get their tarot read, it's kind of like a form of therapy too. So
Yeah, I agree with you.
all
All
right,
right.
well let's move on, yes.
Okay.
To your Uranus. She said, oh my God, Plano Nail Bar, yes, non-spawn, but Plano Nail Bar, I have been absolutely wasted there because
Oh,
it's just a bar.
that's
It's a
all it
bar.
is. I would just
And
go
you
there.
happen to be sticking your feet into like a tub of water while you're there.
I see.
Like,
I have a confession to make. I've definitely gone to a nail salon and not gotten my manicure done
just
because I wanted to be able to hold my drink because that's how they get you. When you get a manicure, you can't effectively have a
whoa.
beverage.
We went and got pedicures only. Well, I think Layla might have got a manicure, but pedicure only, so my hands were free.
Yep.
Free.
Love that.
Another story for another day. Okay, Uranus. So Uranus is all about it's called egoistic liberty, so it's like your
Mhm.
personal freedoms and what your boundaries
Mhm.
are. But it's also like it's the planet that spins sideways, so it's also about like subjugation and sort of being a little different
Mhm.
in this place. So like all the other planets, when they're in their houses and in their perspective signs, it's kind of like this means this. When Uranus is in its sign, it's almost kind of like the opposite, or like you might have a challenge with that one. So
Okay.
your Uranus is it's right next to Neptune. It's in Capricorn in the 10th house again. So it's all about maturity and work ethic and legacy and status.
Okay.
So you struggle with that because Uranus wants you to be creative and imaginative, but it's in that house of like work and like creating a legacy for yourself. So this person likes to live by their own rules and challenges themselves, may change jobs frequently or be their own boss. That's where I was like, wait for that one. And you just don't do necessarily well with like an office setting. You kind of need a lot
Yeah.
of like change and a lot of like creativity in your life. So that's why like a legacy or like a career might be a little bit difficult, but you also are going to be the person that is willing to like leave a job and start another job
Yeah.
without like having an issue with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. I mean, like I've tried. So when I was in college, originally I was going for HR, and I did an
I didn't know that.
internship. Yeah, I did an internship in an office, like an HR office, and I absolutely hated it with all my heart and soul. And that's when I switched over to psychology, which I always kind of knew I wanted to get into teaching. So, but I didn't want a teaching degree. So I was like, let me
Right.
do something kind of similar, but like also gives me some other options. So I definitely think like office job is like not for me at all. Like I need something new and different, like every day. But I also, I don't know. I don't know about
Like what
teaching
else
either,
is
but
there? Right.
yeah.
But yeah, it also like you lend yourself well to creative jobs. So they kept saying you're going to either be an artist, an actress, a singer. I don't know if you can sing.
Oh, in the shower, I'm incredible. The car, incredible.
Right. So let's move on to your Neptune so that we can keep a rolling. So Neptune is all about dreams, and it's also sort of your view on other people, your
Uh-huh.
on community, and sort of what you expect, your expectations of others. It's very similar. It's the same place. It's in that 10th house, and it's in Capricorn. All of these are going to be, I don't know if you've watched some earlier episodes, all of these sort of really, really far out planets, they're really slow, in their orbit because they're so far away. So they actually represent like generations of people. So like me, you, a lot of people that were born in this couple of years are gonna have this same like location for their Neptune.
Oh,
Um, and so, and the Pluto, everyone calls where your Pluto is, it's the millennials, so we'll get there. But Neptune is all about your sort of dreams and your expectations, and it's in that maturity and work ethic house and sign. This is the person who dreams about like a final goal, or like you're very idealistic, like a very positive, like life can be different, it can be better, and
mhm.
that's how you work. Like that, you will put a lot of work into getting there. It might not be very practical, but you're very imaginative, and you'll kind of do whatever it takes to make your life better.
Right.
Um, they're very, they can be spiritual, so they like art and music,
Hmm.
but they also might be too in their head and like focused on sort of this utopian future that they miss the things in front of them, or they like might miss out on sort of practicalities of things.
Right.
um, and they might be a little stubborn too, just because you're
Oh, I'm
like,
so stubborn.
this is where I'm headed, I'm gonna get there, do you want to come with me, kind of feeling.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, the minute you said stubborn, I was like, okay, I definitely think I'm stubborn. I do, like, I am creative. I do like the arts and all that. I do think that I think about the future a lot. I don't know if I necessarily am like, oh, it's going to be better or anything like that. I just think that, like, I'm always kind of thinking about, like, what's going to happen next, or, like,
Yeah.
I'm more future focused and less past focused, if that makes sense.
Oh, interesting. Here's another, the word learning also came up again.
Oh,
Neptune and Capricorn people need to learn. Oh, and it's you're again, the stubbornness comes in the fact that you kind of, again, it's that idealistic thing where it's like, if I put in the work, then I will be fine. Like everything will be good and it'll work out in my favor.
hmm.
So like your sort of karmic duty in life is to realize that not everything is going to work out in your favor, and to kind of be
Yeah.
okay with that.
Oh, I think I learned that.
Good. Very early in life.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Pluto? You want to talk about Pluto?
Hmm.
So Pluto is sort of the very mysterious planet, all about transformation and mystery. And it's where mine is and where every millennials is. It's in Scorpio, in that eighth house.
Ooh, the Scorpio.
Scorpio, which is the mystery sign. Eighth
Hmm.
house, home of the Scorpio, is the mystery house. We're like it's the millennials. It's the sort of dark and brooding people that are like, we carry a lot of negativity or trauma from our past, and
Uh-huh.
we're like sort of our self-deprecating humor. And sort of we matured very early, but we're also like very transformative in the world. We're gonna be the ones that like make the world a better place, kind of
Hmm.
feeling is what we get from this Pluto in Scorpio, which is all about healing as well. We're also like the Harry Potter generation. We love
Oh,
like magic, and we love
yeah.
like things that are sort of crystals and spiritual things. And things like that. As far as the eighth house is also shared finances, and because it is Pluto and because it is in that Scorpio, there's going to be a lot of inconsistency with money in your life.
Hmm.
So you either might like be okay with not having, like, I don't care about money, or you might like really try and save and then be disappointed if you lose it, or you also like might come into money like really quick, like either from like gambling or like just like you randomly find like someone gives an inheritance or something.
Or like when I got hit by a car.
Or that, yeah, that might do it. Especially Pluto's all about trauma and healing. So yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Do you feel in tune with any of sort of that millennial spirit at all?
Yeah, but I also, what I don't like is being called a millennial. And I know that like millennials all
Really?
say that, but I think that there is like a very negative connotation. Because here's the thing,
Hmm.
the people that are calling millennials are the ones that have no idea what that means. They don't know like that
The
it's
baby
kind of,
boomer.
yeah, like exactly. And they don't understand that like there is a positive thing with our generation where like we grew up in a really cool time where like technology wasn't as booming as it is now, but it was kind of getting to that point. And so, we grew up with like the brick flip phones that like didn't have internet access.
Right. The
And
millennials
like,
invented technology. I always say, you're welcome for your iPad. Like,
yeah. And so I think that like that's a really cool thing that like that a lot of generations didn't get to experience and never will get to experience is that kind of like living in an age where we knew like the dial-up AOL, okay,
mhm.
where you can't use the phone, like someone's on AOL, you can't use
You get
it.
kicked off.
But then we also get to live in the generation of like having any type of technology at our fingertips, basically.
Yeah.
And so I think that like most millennials are like grateful for that. And even if they don't think about it, like I think that it's just kind of like a subconscious thing. But I also do think that like our generation did grow up with a lot of trauma and like,
Yeah, the economy that we were given was not great.
yeah, well, and then like I know this is kind of off topic, but like today is 9/11 and we all lived through that. And like
Yes.
even though none of us were really like most of us here in Texas were not like personally impacted for the most part, um, it was still like I remember where I was, what I was doing. I watched
Hmm.
it on TV happen. Like it was still a traumatizing thing. And I was talking to my students about it today because I teach it every year. And it's
Hmm.
crazy because none of them had any idea what I was talking about. And
No,
it's
they weren't
like
alive.
they weren't alive, but also the fact that like that some people like aren't teaching it and like parents aren't talking about it. Like I think that's just kind of like ridiculous. But I don't know. Like I just think that we grew up in a time like an economy, like you said, terrible. 9/11 was probably the most traumatic event in the last I don't know 100 years. Besides like civil rights and all that,
Yeah,
but
I mean, there
like
are a couple other ones, but
there's a
very
couple other ones.
tragic
But
as
like
far as
as far as being
that
like
happens.
attacked, um,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
one positive thing I love when we talk about all that trauma in the past is that a big positive for the millennials is that we are so used to trauma and emotion
we're
that
resilient.
we're not scared of it, and so we're the generation that's going to sort of, I need to work through this emotion in
Yeah.
order to get to the other side. So I think that's really, really an excellent outcome from carrying all that with us.
Yeah, no, I think our generation is like very resilient, very determined, very just kind of for the most part. I mean, there's always
Yeah, for the
exceptions,
most
but
part.
for the most part, I think the
You know,
millennials really are a good thing, and I hate that people think that we're just like these crybabies when
right? I love being a
really
millennial.
they're just like they're jealous.
I love it. All right, well, we've got two more to talk about, so I want to move on before we hit the hour.
Okay.
So those were all your planets in your birth chart. There's two parts that aren't planets, they're just sort of places in your chart,
Okay.
which is your Lilith, which is the dark side of the moon.
Hmm.
So Lilith is all about sort of repressed, like your repressed side of your personality, the dark side. And your Lilith is in Pisces, which
Oh
again, a
my
lot of your stuff
goodness.
is in Pisces. Your Lilith is in Pisces, and it's in the, is that 11th house? 12th house. It's in your last house
Hmm.
in Pisces. Whew. Okay.
Oh no.
Intense. Very intense. So again, it's sort of a repressed sort of darkness in you.
Uh-huh.
Pisces is all about rebirth. It's all about emotion and karma,
Mhm.
which is very present here. And your 12th house is all about rebirth and karma and emotion as well. So you might have sort of this repressed desire to like either change people. You might have sort of not a God complex, but like I can fix other people kind of thing, or I can fix the world. You also might just be, again, that empath thing, very, very sensitive to emotions in general.
Yeah.
And this sort of feeling of almost uncontrol, like if the energy, very energy sensitive, I will say, that you can almost see energy, feel like you can picture waves and energy, you can kind of see it in the room.
Yeah.
And you might either judge that in yourself or lean too heavily into it. It's
Mhm.
like either one end. You might like try and shy away from it, or you might like rely on it a little too much, and that's sort of what makes it hidden, like a
Yeah.
hidden part of you. How do you feel about all that? Was a lot of mysterious talk, but Pisces in the 12th house is all mysterious.
I think honestly, it kind of makes me just kind of think about how, because I feel like I've kind of noticed that about myself, so I've
Mhm.
tried to like stop it. So then, like, but because of that, it's like I think about it and overthink
Yes,
it, and then like,
there it is.
so I think that that's kind of what I think. Like, there are times that like I can hear the little voice in my head kind of being judgmental of somebody, and like, which is against like pretty much everything else you've said. Like, I'm kind and like self-sacrificing,
Right.
all these things. But there are times where I'm like judgmental on my in my head, but like I
Hmm.
try to stop it and I become aware of it.
Yeah.
But then I start overthinking it. Like, why am I judging this person? Like,
Right.
then I become like sensitive. Like, oh my gosh, like why am I feeling
Yes.
that way? Like,
Yeah, and your karmic duty, what you need to learn in life is self-acceptance, is what it says. So just accepting that this is who you are and you are sort of either vulnerable or emotional or
yeah.
whatever, and not to judge
See, I
your
think
judging if you're
that
judging.
like rings true because I'm the type of person that like I get mad and madder and maddest when I get
Learn.
like I when I get emotional about something, I like get mad at myself about it. Like I'm like, why am I so upset about this?
Yeah. So self-acceptance, you know?
Yeah, I just
And your last thing I want to talk about is your North Node. So your North Node is your underdeveloped characteristics in life, things that you might want to sort of think about as you grow old and maybe kind of want to develop a little more.
Mhm.
It's in Sagittarius in the ninth house. Woohoo! So it's all about expansion, belief, and growth, expansion, definitely expansion, travel. People say a lot. This is the kind of person who you might, okay, I'm just going to read it to you. May limit herself through mental overstimulation or by overdoing logic at the expense of intuition. So again, what you just said, which is like this sort of like trying to figure out why you're doing things instead of just trusting yourself.
Yeah.
She may have so many things going on at once that she only dabbles and doesn't commit to a particular project. This Shay had this exact same thing, by the way, and she said that was definitely her.
Yeah.
It says the things you need to develop is just prioritizing and committing to a single path at one time, not having too many things going on at once.
That makes sense. I
How does
also
that
think
feel?
I think that part of that too that would kind of come into play is like being able to say no more. Like I'm the
Yeah.
type of person that like if somebody asks me to do something, I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me make you happy."
Yeah, which goes along with the rest of your chart, which is very other oriented.
Yeah, exactly. So then I say that and then I'm like, "Oh my God, I said yes to that, 17 things." And then I'm stressed out. And so I think that like just being able to say no would be better. But I definitely do that. I'm like, "Oh, let me try this and let me try that and let me try this," and then I don't ever finish anything.
And then I don't ever finish anything.
So,
Love that. Well, before I let you go, I want to do sort of a summary of the chart. I didn't get to do your archetypes this time just because um, I kind of want to move away from that a little and move a little more towards talking about it.
okay.
But I do want to talk about sort of your axes that I kind of come up with, which is your focus and your center.
Hmm.
So your focus is either external or internal. And looking at your chart, I mean, you do have like some instances of an external focus, But overall, I really do think your focus is internal in life.
Hmm.
Like, I think you see the world from an inside out perspective instead of an outside in. It's not like, let me grab for my personality. It's like, how do I get my personality to fit into this world kind of
Yeah.
feeling, a little
Yeah.
more you. Um, and as far as your center, you can either what I think have like a dynamic center, which if you're probably very visual like me. When I
Hmm.
think of the center, I it's the a curve. You either have like an up curve or you
Uh-huh.
have a down curve.
Uh-huh.
So your center is either down here, and which I feel is sort of static in the down curve, static, and it's hard to get to the other like the higher
Oh,
ends of
okay.
it. So you're centered, you're very sure and centered of yourself, but you might not stray from what you know to be true.
Hmm.
Or the other way is sort of like a hill where your center is like up here. So you tend to live your life at the extremes and you're trying to find like a balance in your life because it's
Yeah.
harder to feel balance. For you, yours is a little tough because yours is so sort of dreamy and emotional.
Yeah.
I will say that I do think you have more of a dynamic center just because I think your brain and your heart like sees so many different paths for yourself and so many different outcomes that like at one day your center could be here and you feel good about it and then the next month your center is somewhere else and
Yeah.
you're like well let me get there instead. So I will say that you are sort of an internal focus and an external like a dynamic center.
Yeah. That
Does
makes
that
sense.
sort of make some sense to you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that
Yeah.
that's like, I think I'm definitely more like, but I think that goes along with sort of just like making sure everybody is okay. Like,
Hmm.
depending on, it's not that I necessarily change my personality around other people, but like,
Hmm.
I can like mend or I can, like, I don't know, I can get along with all different types of people in
Yeah.
any type of situation. And I think it's because like, I'm not going to be the type of person that's like, let me be confrontational when I don't agree with this person, you know? Like, I'm just like,
Right.
oh, that's your opinion. You know,
Right. I
and if
love
I disagree, I'm not going to say, I mean, sometimes I will, but I'm not going to say, I'm just going to be like, oh,
okay.
okay,
You
that's your
feel that way,
opinion.
I
I'll
feel
keep my
this way.
opinion to myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is your birth chart. How do you feel about it and all? Do you feel like
I think it
I
was really
nailed it? Do
accurate,
you
like
feel like
scarily accurate. Like, I think you did a great job. I mean, I think it's very accurate of who I am. And I mean, I think it was probably fun for you to do since you know me. So you're like,
yeah.
oh, remember that time she called me at
Remember that
2
time, bury
a.m.?
that. I love it. And I hope you maybe got some kind of sort of therapeutic or
I
maybe a
did.
recharge moment from this.
I feel like I need to go like look up more stuff.
Yeah, please. You're not the only person that said that to me after these.
Yeah, like, I think I just need to be like, oh, let me dig deeper into this and
Yeah,
see.
because this is really just like a couple of sentences about your entire birth chart. So you could go really deep into a lot of different aspects. There are things called aspects in your chart, which I don't even talk about, where it's like, is your sun in a what are the degrees between your sun and your moon? Do they work
Isn't that
together?
so crazy though?
It's insane.
Like,
So
who decided all this stuff? The
crazy people like us,
I think it was the Greeks,
probably.
the Romans.
The naked people. But yeah, we're about to hit the hour, so I want to wrap it up here. I want to thank you, Miss Molly, for coming on
Of
and
course.
indulging me in this. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you, this Bachelor of Charts, episode 5. We made it here to 5 already. Jesus Christ.
I know.
So go check out my YouTube channel. It's the link is in the bio, or if you're watching this on YouTube already, make sure to subscribe so that you can get more content. The days kind of change every single week, but you can expect some really great guests or some really great things every week, and I appreciate everybody joining me. I'm glad you had fun.
Thank you.
Love you very much, and thank you guys. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right,
Bye.
bye.